Here is my audience. Have you wondered what all the fuss is about the Common Core? Have you done any research for yourself? If not, I encourage you to. It won't be long, and if it's not stopped, there will be nothing that we as parents can do about it. Common Core State Standards Initiative is not the first attempt at nationalizing educational standards. And the teaching materials that are being implemented are not satisfactory standards for all students. I've been researching Common Core for a couple months now, and every time I find some new credible information, my mouth just drops to the floor. I do not have time to share everything with you today, but I wanted to go over just some of my concerns. First, we're going to talk about how the nationalized standards have been tried in the past and they failed. Then second, we're going to go over some of the complicated math methods they're enforcing on this nation. Then lastly, we're going to talk about just one of the inappropriate reading materials they're forcing on our children. You can research more in depth about how this initiative began by going to the National Governors Association website at www.nga.org. But for now, let's begin by discussing the last failed attempt. Programs such as Common Core have been tried before, but with no success. George Bush administration enacted the No Child Left Behind Act of 2001 to close the achievement gap with accountability, flexibility, and choice. In 2010, President Barack Obama decided the program should be tried again. A report was issued and he declared, "My administration's blueprint for reauthorization of the Elementary and Secondary Education Act is not only a plan to re-innovate a flawed law, but also an outline for a re-envisioned federal role in education." There's a reason why it failed before. We shouldn't let it get to that point again. Now let's go over some of the educational materials they're trying to incorporate with the Common Core State Standards Initiative. Common Core method of learning math is making it complicated using concepts that are proven not to work with all children. But the old methods are simple, not time consuming. You take 258, divide it by 6, it's 43. Now the children must use difficult measures they don't understand. If your work is not shown, your answer is wrong. If you don't use the Common Core methods, your answer is wrong. I want to show you an example of a math style my 10-year-old daughter brought home this week. This is out of a Common Core book, but I readjusted my own way because it was under copyright laws. Estimating quotients, 258 shells, 6 containers. They wanted them to estimate how many shells could go into each container. Okay, first they wanted them to use rounding. Round to the nearest tens or hundreds. So round 258 to 300. 300 divided by 6 equals 50. Next, they had to use compatible numbers. Because 24 is compatible with 6, use mental math. Can't write it down, gotta do it in your head. So 240 divided by 6 is 40. Therefore, the answer, 40 to 50 shells go into each container. What happened to simple math? It's so much easier to take 258, divide it by 6. You got 43. We all know how to estimate. Why use these complicated methods? The problems for homework jump from using one type of estimating to the other. My daughter did not comprehend, and there's many others that do not. You can't force it on them. This is a perfect example of mental set. This is a term I learned in my Psychology Core Concepts book. It means the tendency to respond to a new problem in the manner used for a previous problem. This is what honors classes are for. If the kids understand these concepts, put them in the honors classes. Don't enforce this on every single child. only is the math more complicated, some of the reading materials they're having the children read is inappropriate for some ages. My daughter, which is in 7th grade, had to read a book called The Giver, which was forced by the Common Core. What most of the 7th graders remembered about the book were points in it that referenced to sexual references, euthanizing a baby in the head with a needle, and suicide. Granted, this book is an educational book for some people, mainly older children. There's very few in that age group that actually comprehend what this book is about. It's not about these other things. But most of the people in that class, most of the 12-year-olds, this is what they remembered from the book. They're too young for this book, and the Common Core curriculum is enforcing it too soon. I've touched only on a few concerns we have as parents with the Common Core. As we have discussed, the new standards are not a guarantee for success. Implementing concepts that children do not understand are only hurting the success of the children's future. Let's review what we went over today. The Common Core State Standards Initiative is not the first attempt of nationalizing standards. Second, we went over some of the complicated mathematics concepts that they're trying to enforce on the students. And then lastly, we went over some of the reading requirements that they're incorporating are not appropriate for all ages. I want you to really think about the things we have discussed here today. Consider researching for yourself and see what you can find. This is a serious situation that could change America forever. We as parents and citizens can make a difference if we choose to. I'm going to end this with a quote from Harry S. Truman. It's what you learn after you know it all that counts. Thank y'all.